You're able to see my slides?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Hello?
Your slides, sir.
You're
We
able
can
to
see
see
your
the slides?
Yes, sir, we can see. Can you hear us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm able to
Okay.
hear. I'll
Yes.
start.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Very good evening to all of you. At the outside, I sincerely thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be meeting you all, albeit virtually. My special thanks to Dr. Nanda Rajneesh for coming out actually boldly with this conference at this period of time. Let us quickly see the keywords in the given topic and proceed. And anyway, my previous speaker has spoken so much on mutation, but still I was told this is going to be a mixed audience. I thought everything, I'll make it simple. Let us see how the interaction goes on. What is mutation? What is mutation? Mutation is a change of the structure of the gene, resulting in a variant from which may be transmitted to subsequent generations. This may be caused by removal of a part of it, that's called deletion, by adding a part of it, that's called insertion, by rearrangement, and that one of the examples is translocation. And any agent which is capable of doing this is called as mutagenic. Now, how the cancer is now being introduced into the genetic part of it, one may be asking. In a way, it is a genetic disease. As the previous speaker spoke, every cell has got an oncogene, which is innocuously sitting there as proto-oncogene, which is regulating the normal cell growth. In the same cell, we have another cell gene sitting there and trying to control it, and that is called as tumor suppressor gene. Oncogene is regulating the growth, and the tumor suppressor gene is regulating the oncogene, what it should function. In a jovial way, I used to tell my PGs for remembering, it's like old time couple, the jumping husband being tamed by the innocuous looking wife. That's how the balance is maintained in the normal growth. But when the balance is tilted in favor of the oncogene, then the tumor occurs. This happens by either increasing the activity of the oncogene or augmenting or enhancing, or on the other hand, by removing simply the activity of the tumor suppressor gene. In essence, it has to tilt in favor of oncogene, then the abnormal, uncontrolled, purposeless growth occurs, which is called as cancer. All carcinogenic activity ultimately work through this process. What are carcinogens? This is another terminology. Any agent which is capable of increasing the incidence of malignant neoplasm, in simple words, which can induce cancer, is called as a carcinogen. Then what is the relationship between a mutagen and carcinogen, one may ask. All carcinogens need not be mutagenic. For example, alcohol. Alcohol is carcinogenic, but it is not mutagenic. It is not going to act through mutagenesis. But most of the other, like radiation, smoking, etc., they are carcinogenic. And that is the relationship between mutagenesis and carcinogenesis, and hence this interest on us. The effect of carcinogen is related to dose, that is the amount, then the route, then the length of exposure, genetic susceptibility, which makes the case for the carcinogenicity. As on today, about 400 carcinogenic agents have been identified. If time permitted, I would have talked about Percival parts, how we correlated the suit of the SIMNI workers with the scrotal cancer. And we'll quickly go on to the carcinogen types. The carcinogens, that is the agents which can cause carcinogenesis, can be biological. For example, bacteria like H. pylori can cause stomach cancer. Viral carcinogen has been already covered nicely by my previous speaker. There are physical agents, there are chemical agents, which we'll see quickly. But kindly note, the most important factor is an environmental factors which are creating the nuisance. And that is what most of the cancers are due to, which are all modifiable factors is the point. If you look at the chemical carcinogens, they act by two ways. One, by altering the genetic material, and that we call it as genotoxic. They damage the DNA adducts, and thereby the DNA strand break and then cause mutation. Example would be a very classical one, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons or aromatic amines. But they can work through the other way also, which does not impact DNA, by simply promoting the tumor growth and the progression of the disease. And these agents have to work effectively, require an enzymatic action, which is called as bioactivation. And this bioactivation and enzymatic action is variable in different people. And that explains why some get cancer with the same exposure and some don't. The heterocyclic amines, for example, can cause breast, colon, liver, skin, and prostate cancer, whereas the polycyclic aromatase hydrocarbons result in leukemia and GI cancers. One of the most important, the chemical carcinogen for our times, which has been well studied and established, is tobacco. And tobacco today is considered as a total carcinogen. One may ask why. Certain chemicals, they may initiate an action, but they require some more chemicals or viruses to come in as co-carcinogen to continue with their process of creating a normal cell to transformed cell. Whereas tobacco has got self-sufficient chemicals which can initiate, promote, and progress, and thereby causing cancer. And so we call it as total carcinogen is tobacco. The alarming issue here is 1 out of 4 adult Indian today is using tobacco in some form or the other, be a rural person or an urban person, a man or a woman. In India, actually, the tobacco usage is alarmingly going high. We try to copy our Westerners for so many other things, but we don't want to copy here, where the USA cigarette smoking was 42% in 1965, which has now reduced to 16%. I think it is one place where we can copy them. Let us take tobacco. Why I said it's a total carcinogen, I explained, because it has got more than 19 known carcinogens, including the polycycline aromatase hydrocarbons. And we are the people who introduce to the whole world how to use tobacco without smoking, so-called smokeless tobacco. We are the highest users of smokeless tobacco in this world. And we are the second largest producers of tobacco, second largest maximum users of tobacco in the world. And all this can be changed. Otherwise, smoking is going to cause oral cancer, laryngeal cancer, bladder cancer, esophagus, cervical, leukemia, etc., etc. Including the passive smoking, poor person who doesn't smoke but takes the smoke passively also get breast cancer, for instance. The other chemical agents are related to industries and occupation hazards like arsenic in lung skin. And asbestos was causing lung and pleura, which has been banned from production today. And the benzene and amines, which are available in the paints and dyes, they can produce bladder cancer, for instance. Having seen chemical carcinogens too much, we will go to the next part, that is the physical carcinogens. We all have heard the word radiation. You know, everybody knows what is a radiation. For example, an X-ray or CT scan is using radiation, but that is man-made for medical purpose. That causes only to a 20% of the time problems, whereas the naturally occurring radiation, radon gas and UV light causes more than 80% of the time causes trouble. To that extent, the second most important cause of lung cancer in India today, in US, is due to radon gas. How does this radiation cause cancer, you may ask? Two simple ways. You need not worry about the slide. It is too difficult to understand. In simple ways, it can act through the DNA by breaking one strand. The moment it is broken, the natural tendency is to do repair. And this repair mechanism, when it goes wrong, results in mutation, and mutation results in cancer. On the other hand, free radical formation occurs, which also causes damage, thereby causing cancer. These are the two methods radiation occurs. The next obvious question for anybody would be, what is the cancer risk in radiation? If you ask me, the epidemiological studies done in high dose exposure, like radiation workers, atomic bomb survivors from Hiroshima, Nagasaki, or Chernobyl victims where there is a disaster of the nuclear plant occurred long back, they did the studies. At the end of 20 years, thyroid cancer and leukemia could be detected in them. At the end of 50 years, even other solid tumors like breast and ovary, they started showing up, clearly proving a point that the high dose exposure, when they survive, they will develop cancer in one way or the other. Does that mean the low radiation exposure is safe? There are so many scientific models trying to explain, but in simple language today, the official view is no dose is safe. No dose is safe. The next point would be, we are giving radiation for treating cancer patients, and you are now sitting and talking radiation causes cancer. So when you are exposing the patients for cancer treatment with radiotherapy, will that cause cancer? Will be the logical question. The answer is yes, it can, but the incidence is very negligible. Because the children are more prone, we try avoiding to give radiotherapy to the children, thereby avoiding the occurrence of the second cancer due to radiotherapy. Next comes the ultraviolet rays, which are seen in the sunlight. It has got three wavelengths, A, B, C. The C is more damaging to DNA. But fortunately for us, as the light enters from outside in, it is absorbed by the ozone layer, which is around our atmosphere. Whenever there is a depletion of ozone layer, cancer risk goes up. And that is what is happening in places like Australia, where there is a depletion of ozone layer, thereby increasing the incidence of skin cancer, especially melanoma. This takes us to the next part, what Dr. Nanda has asked me to talk, cooking and cancer. In our usual style of cooking is boiling, either with a pressure cooker or otherwise. That doesn't take the temperature very high. Whereas the food which is cooked by smoking, which is called smoked food, grilled food, spicy and pickled food, the incidence of cancer is higher. People may ask why and how. The meat cooked in very high temperature results in breaking of the otherwise stable proteins into particles which are subparticles, and they are called as pyrolysins. Pyro means fire, lysine means broken. They are broken by high temperature, thereby they can create cancer. If you are going to grill or barbecue, then that muscle meat will produce two types of chemicals. One is the heterochemicals, the other one would be the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. From the amino acids, that is from the protein, you can get heterocycline amines. From the fat and juices, you can get polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Both result in cancer. So that is why they are talking about how cancer occurs in food. Then what are the tips to prevent cooking and cancer? One may ask. Avoid direct exposure of meat to open flame. Avoid high temperature cooking, for example, in microwave cooking. Avoid prolonged cooking times. Continuously turning meat reduces the HCA formation. Removing the charred portion of the meat and avoid gravy from meat drippings. And this has been, the last part has been touched by Dr. Praful. The red meat is considered to be carcinogenic. Red meat, in simple language, meat of the mammals. So you can avoid them, whereas the fish and poultry are better. Coming to the cooking utensils, you would have heard definitely non-stick pans, very popular among people. And this is non-stick because of the Teflon coating. And this Teflon coat is made up of chemicals from perfluorooctanoic acid, which is considered to be carcinogenic to humans. The IARC, again and again, you'll be hearing this conference, International Agency for Research in Cancer, housed at Lyon, France, work on all these carcinogenics and give the warnings. And they have clearly suggested that the perfluorooctanoic acid is possibly carcinogenic to humans, particularly to testes and kidney. So in 2015 itself, US has banned the manufacturing related to these chemicals. But I am very sure in India it continues. Next topic is the most important because I'm sure all of you sitting there and me carry at least one cell phone in our hand, maybe two. The question was raised whether brain and CNS cancers have raised because of the cell phone usage. Early in the study, a positive association came out, particularly from the Australia and Netherlands. Then there was a panic and a lot of epidemiologic studies they started doing. The incidence of gliomas, which is brain tumor, acoustic neuroma and meningioma, there is no change. And they started doing cohort studies in large group. Again, they said there is no positive association. Some of the large studies which you can go and refer would be Interphone Danish Million Women Study. They said there is no association between cell phone usage and cancer. But as I said, IARC is trying to tell us that it is carcinogenic to humans. When the fear comes, then we'll have to ask, what are the tips to avoid? Use more landline phones is what the first line they are telling. Next one would be make it shorter conversations if you are doing through the phone. Both are not possible, sir. You are talking there, I am able to hear here. So the best would be hands-free technology. Keep the phone as away from the head of the user as possible. And that is the only practical way of keeping the cell phone away. Thereby, the very small but definite risk which the IARC is talking about, increase in CNS tumors, can be avoided. In the short time given, I thought I'll only give an overview and take questions if any. And thanks once again for the patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for an excellent presentation. You've always been a role model for me throughout my surgical career. And you very well explained how imbalances happen in the body. We know an yin-yang theory, it is one of the Chinese theories. It talks about whole universe is based on balance and imbalance. When there is an imbalance, there's a disaster. So in the body also, when there is an imbalance of extensive mutagenic things like tobacco or carcinogens, which are discussed in detail, all those things, then there is a huge imbalance and cancer can happen. Thank you very much, sir, for excellent lecture.